following podcast is recorded and produced by Emerge, a media creators co-op, in affiliation with the network at bizbb-radio.com.
Hello there.
Welcome.
And welcome back. Welcome back
to another episode of the 716th Attack Legion podcast.
Hello there, and welcome back to the 716th Attack Legion podcast. I'm Jack. Today I'm joined by Christian and a longtime wanted guest on the channel, Palmer Archie.
Good to be here. You know, I know It's been a while in the making. Appreciate it being here.
I've wanted you on the channel for a hot minute now, so I'm glad that you're finally able to get out here.
You and me both. You and me both.
Today we're going to be talking about a couple different things. Obviously, some Star Wars news has happened.
A little bit late to it.
A little bit late, but not that late.
No. It'll change again anyways. Lucasfilm. Yeah, this won't be the final time.
No. And then we have a little sneak preview for you guys. So towards the end of the podcast, we're going to talk about something other than Star Wars. So stay tuned for that. If you're looking at the set currently, you might be able to tell what we're going to talk about.
All right, let's get into it.
So first things first, we got some news about the Mando season 4, and then its finale gonna be an actual movie. I don't know if
do we know if because what you're referring to is we know there's a movie.
Yes.
That's the confirmed part of this.
Right.
Is that there is a theatric release. I think it's called The Mandalorian and Grogu,
yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is 100%. They've come up with that in the last 3 months. But anyway,
John says he has
the point.
John says he has a script ready.
Oh, good. Yes, because Lucasfilm's always been very trustworthy when it comes to that type of comment. But what you're referring to is there's other reports that they're going to do a 6-episode season.
Yeah.
And then the finale is in theaters, which I don't think they're going to do that for whatever reason.
No. I don't know. I don't think that's too far off.
Lucasfilm hasn't said that yet. So but in terms of, we know there's the movie though. The movie is happening. To me, it feels more like that they do well, given that they didn't really have a lot going on in Mando season 3.
What do you mean? They reclaimed Mandalore.
And I think they've kind of run it out of stuff. And I think they're just we'll do a movie. And I think that also has to do with the idea that I don't think the Rey movie, which we're also going to be talking about, is as along in the process as it needs to be, or was supposed to be at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of filling the and also just the reality that whether, and again, I'm not going to talk about my own personal opinions on the Rey movie or the sequel trilogy or whatever, but just the overall it's not
fellas.
but no, it's not relevant to what it's not relevant to Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
Even if Lucasfilm doesn't always accept the reality of what their fan sentiment is on things. There's no way they can return to the theater with a sequel trilogy era. I know it's a new era, it's 15 years later or whatever, but it'll be seen as an extension of that corner of Star Wars, which is not popular. Yes, some people like it. I'm not saying that there's nobody that dislikes the sequel trilogy. Or that likes that doesn't. Not everyone doesn't like the sequel trilogy, because people do. I'm on Twitter. There's people that hate it. But
they do exist.
They do exist. But it's very clear if you look at product sales, there's overall sentiment in the community, that would be a mistake if you're gonna try to relaunch cinematic Star Wars movies with the sequel project and not something a bit more either new or a bit stronger, like Mandalorian, which because honestly I think and tell me if everyone disagrees. I'm almost 100% sure that this movie, despite being announced 2 years after Like, no, not 2 years, like an entire year after the Rey movie. And but we knew about the Rey movie. It was in development, right? Before we had it announced, right? Yeah. Well, we knew about that Lindelof thing when he got fired, obviously. But that movie was the Rey movie.
Yes.
So this movie, we've had a Rey movie that's been in development for probably over a year. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure the one they just announced is going to come out before it.
Probably.
Probably. I'm pretty sure that like Mando is going
Rey just got delayed again.
Did it?
Yeah.
It was because Luke. I know, like, I don't trust Lucasfilm, but Lucasfilm did deny that reporting.
They denied it, but like at the same time, and Daisy Ridley's come out and she's like,
But Daisy really hasn't read a fucking script.
Well, that's what she said.
She just has given like the plot by
twice. She said that there is no script currently, but that she's been given the plot of it, and she very much likes the plot.
See, that means nothing to me. I like the plot of a lot of bad movies.
Yeah.
Like on paper. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Like, it doesn't mean anything. And also, like, keep in mind that when they announced this, and when Daisy Ridley came out on, like, stage at, like, Star Wars Celebration, they said the script was almost done. Which was a lie as well, and which Lucasfilm does.
What?
Like, you have to realize.
So are you saying that they're lying that the script isn't done now?
No. Well, we know the script isn't done.
Well, yeah.
The writer of the script, who was like the Peaky Blinders guy, has said, which is also funny because like I hate I'm not coming from this room with my hate from like it's woke. And I hate it because it's woke. Because I don't care about that. Like it's it's the Peaky Blinders writer. So if people are, it's like, how is that gonna be? Like that's like the most like. The really shitty.
Yeah, like literally what happened. The Peaky Blinders guy was on another show on a podcast talking about that he's working on the Peaky Blinders movie, and it's really taking all of his time.
Yes.
So he's not working 5 days a week on the Peaky Blinders script, and then on the weekends he sits in the hot tub and writes the Star Wars script. Like
I'm not denying the fact that
or November or something.
I'm not denying the fact that there isn't a script. I don't believe that there is a script.
I
don't believe that there's a script out there somewhere.
Fair enough, yeah.
I just feel like that, like, they're probably going to start working on it after he's done with his other projects.
Maybe Rey will find this script buried in the sand with the lightsabers.
Anakin's rolling in his grave because he watched Rey bury his lightsabers.
Beyond like
well, here,
behind the scenes chaos. Beyond behind the scenes chaos. What are your thoughts on like either of these movies? Like in terms of like
Rey or Mando?
I'm kind of with Christian, on this one.
Poor Jack.
My heart.
I know. Me and Jack usually agree with most things, but I'm kind of with Christian on this. I don't think that you could really trust where Lucasfilms is coming from, where like they're saying where they're at with like the film and stuff like that. I mean,
and again, because anytime like this type of stuff comes up, it always comes across as like, oh, you don't like it because it's like Kathleen Kennedy, and it's because it's all the wokeness. I was like, no, I don't like it because they're not. I don't like the current Lucasfilm setup because they're not good at their jobs. Mm-hmm. Like that's basically like why I don't like, because of like all the behind the scenes stuff that you look at all the news reports and like investigative journalism and stuff that's come out about like all the people that have been fired and rehired, the chaos that's been present on nearly every one of their sets besides The Last Jedi for some unexplicit reason. The only movie that didn't have a problem, which is why I think they went so hard with the PR, because they were so happy that like they had made like 3 movies and they'd finally done one that was like a smooth process kind of, because like Force Awakens was chaotic just because it was the first one back and it was absolutely like chaos. And then like Rogue One, despite the fact that I love that movie, if you look into the behind the scenes process of how that movie went, is an utter it's inexplicit endings. How that movie like even came to be good at all. But
I definitely think that in my hopes and dreams and opinions on this is that like I'm hoping that now that Dave is in charge.
Yes, he's been promoted to the highest
level
in like
under
Kennedy. Yes.
Under Kennedy.
Which I don't want him to be in charge of business anyway. He doesn't need to be pushing papers.
I'm hoping that things will go a lot smoother now. Like, I'm okay with the Rey movie being delayed, even if they're denying it. Like, let it breathe, let it grow, let it do what it needs to do to be a decent movie, and if you need 3 years to like
Yeah, if you need
get it,
yeah, exactly.
fine by
Hey,
me.
I would rather them take their time with it than, give us something that's, going to be like, what was
Especially
that?
because it needs to be like people don't like lots of especially people don't like 9.
Yeah,
Like people,
I like 9.
Can I give you like more evidence why I think
I think 9's the
that
most hated of all
Disney,
3.
No,
Like,
I
your
think 8
Christian's
is.
theory that they know that saga, the third saga, is not as popular as the Mando era and the Ahsoka era, which is the same era, and even like the post original trilogy era. Let's call it that.
it's like this small.
But not the new. One of the reasons why I think I totally agree that Disney knows that they have a problem and why they announced the Mando movie is because there's been a lot of insider releases about the parks, and they're going to be in what's Star Wars land called?
Galaxy's Edge.
Galaxy's Edge. They're going to be backing off on some of the lore in Galaxy's Edge to make it not feel as much as the saga. They're like, there's like a ship in there that's not even a ship.
Well, there's been analysis done.
But they've said like that people really like Galaxy's Edge, but they would like it better if it was more just kind of the Star Wars we know, which is like Han Solo.
Yeah, people have talked
era.
about Galaxy's Edge. Like it's been very successful for them.
It has.
But,
So I'm
but
hearing-
the issue is that like they've done their analysis and they said it would have been even bigger if it was something relevant.
Right. So
like,
I
if
think
you
that
if
they're-
it was like on.
So
like,
I really think that they're going to retool. Well, obviously the hotel was a disaster.
like, it was a new place. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
which was
Let
interesting.
me finish.
To
The
see.
hotel is a whole nother issue.
That's already gone.
The
No, that already
Starburger's
crashed and
gone.
burned. That's been
Yeah.
closed.
Right. No, I understand that, but
it lasted like.
but the
6
park
months.
itself,
Oh, wow.
they're going to like.
someone was
I
paying
think they're
50
going
grand
to
for a
make it
hotel.
more.
Yeah, that's
I think that they're going to probably leave. People really like
converting it,
Smuggler's
yeah.
Run because it's Hondo and stuff, and people like that. So
Oh,
I don't
so
think they're
much
going to
fun.
change that at all. I think what they're going to change is they're going to change the resistance of the Rise of the Resistance and redo that and make it change the era. Which is you do that with rides anyways. You always update rides and you change them so they could do that.
I would like a Galaxy's Edge that rotates between different eras. Like 1 week you have Clone Wars era and Anakin and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan are walking around. 1 week you have
Well, that's why Star Tours is so cool because every
Yeah.
time you get on Star Tours, it's a different
different.
experience.
Like I understand why they didn't just do they didn't just make like Tatooine. Like I understand that, but you could have made like Yavin.
that
Like
that
you
would
could
be
have made like that would have been like a cooler, like more like something that would have made people more excited. It's cool to go see the Falcon and like all the other big stuff there, but it's like you just kind of have like a random world built area. Like they've done some world building that's actually like pretty interesting and cool with Galaxy's Edge, but it's just for the park. Like they've had a couple things that have like took place like at Galaxy's Edge, like in like canon, I think, like in books and stuff. But like nobody really like. It's not like it'd be easier though.
It's not
like,
main stuff
yeah,
that people know.
Right.
Some people have actually said it's too realistic.
Oh, I love it so much.
I understand that, but the like average people have said I don't understand. Like it feels like why is it so immersive? Like, and I said when I've told people when I've been there, and I've been there a couple times now, and I'm like, what I love about it is the fact that like you feel like if you just kick the tourist out, you could film a movie there.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it, and I love that. I love the fact that like the pop stand is like an astromech like that pulls it around and shit. Like I love that. I'm like that's what it should look like. It shouldn't look like some guy who goes to a local high school. Hi,
and was just
can I help you,
together.
sir? Would you
And
like a
weirdly-
Coke? Like I like the fact you can buy blue milk and they talk to you like in credits. They say credits. They don't say dollars. They say it's 12 credits. Like I love that. I love that. To the thing that people really do love is the fact that when you walk into the lightsaber shop, it isn't specific to an era. You can walk in there and talk about any lightsaber in Star Wars, and they'll help you make it. So I mean, they already have the model that works, and that store is like probably they make more money off that store than anything.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So sorry, that was my
back to
my thoughts, which again it justifies why I think
Weirdly
that
enough,
they,
and even back
they
to, like,
know they
the-
have to
yeah.
kind of do something else before they get to the race stuff.
Yeah, like there's no way that these, and again, people like I'm not that these like executives that are making these decisions are making them based on like smart like decisions anymore because they're very much not. But like there's no way they can't realize that like launching with like a sequel-esque property for the film era would be like not a great decision. Like there's no way they can think about that and be like that would be the best way. Like there are just other things that you like an Old Republic thing or something new would about in Star Wars that's set completely differently would probably get like energy is way more high than just like here's more sequel stuff. Like even sooner than like any of like the trilogies were after each other. Like we didn't get anything for years but books for like the original trilogy, or like nothing for the prequel, but we got a cartoon for the prequels. And like nope, we got sequels for this sequel trilogy. And it's like, okay, so is this episode 10? Is it a random one? Like is there not going to be an episode 10, 11, 12? Like I don't care if there isn't.
There might be, but I don't think that the Rey movie is canonically episode 10.
Well, I mean, I don't think any of the characters are coming back. Adam Driver's, well, he's dead, but he said he would never come back. John Boyega, I think at this point, was very clear that he's not coming back. They would have announced that by now, because that would have been a coup. That's the only thing, actually, that would have got a lot of people over back to the Rey movie, because people feel the most sympathy for everyone involved in the sequel trilogy for John Boyega.
Yes.
And getting John Boyega back, especially because he's been the most outright negative towards the sequel trilogy of all the actors, would have been a win. But they haven't done that.
I think that there's a tiny, tiny, small possibility that maybe Dave could get John back.
I don't think
maybe
so.
Oscar back.
I would love for him to come back, but
I think he's gonna get some big other role in something else soon, like Marvel or DC or something. Because he's a big actor. He's popular, and I think he can be. I think he can be respected somewhere else more than Star Wars. So, also I don't know what he would do. Where
I would love to see Finn as a Jedi.
No, I would love to see Finn as a Jedi too. They should have done it in the actual, trilogy.
Right.
But it's weirdly enough, though, I also don't. And I'm gonna see what other people's like feelers are on this. I don't necessarily think the Mando movie is like the best idea for the return either, because I don't think like the Disney Plus era has been like overwhelmingly successful like either, like to a lot of people. And I think a lot of people have just kind of skipped out on the Disney Plus era. Like the people that have watched Mando like do like it.
those are Star
But
Wars
like
fans,
Mando is not actually like as widely watched as like some others as people think it is. Like it's the most watched thing on Disney Plus. Besides, like I think
Besides
Obi-Wan.
Ahsoka.
No,
maybe.
Ahsoka didn't make. It was actually lower than most.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow,
Ahsoka did not. Ahsoka did better than Andor.
Okay.
But I don't think it breached like Boba Fett stuff. I don't think it. Besides the Anakin episode.
Really?
The Anakin episode did well.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But Ahsoka was kind of in between like the usual Mando stuff, and I think that was mainly because we didn't know any of a lot of the characters were. It's mainly Ahsoka is very much a Rebels sequel. At least even once you watch it, you're like, oh, this is his equal to Rebels. Honestly, that would be an interesting conversation as well, because it's been so long since Ahsoka to see like where opinions have kind of settled on a lot of things for that show.
I
really enjoyed it.
Let us know it. Like
I very much enjoyed it. There's certain things I've tempered on.
with time
since,
have passed now. Where do you stand on the Mando era and Ahsoka and all that? Like, are you still like excited for anything new to come out, or are you kind of like, I don't know, maybe we should try something different?
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure like the best way they could have restarted, and again, Hollywood's creatively bankrupt, so it's very hard for them to do anything that's just not like a sequel or like adapting like from the era we already have. But I think a new era, like if they dropped like an Old Republic. Acolyte's cool actually, but even then, like a lot of the Star Wars fans are not big on the High Republic because it's
I like
very
the High
weird.
Republic.
The High Republic is weird. I don't know. I haven't. To be fair, I'm not even gonna like make a judgment on the High Republic because I have not delved into it very much.
Fair enough.
So
I've
just heard weird.
I've heard
things.
some rumors that Knights of the Old Republic remake is now back into production after being canceled.
I heard there's like, but I heard it's like two guys in a closet. That's what I heard.
Sometimes
That's what I
those
heard.
make the best
No, I
games.
don't know. I actually trust those guys infinitely more than I trust the entire like dev team to make like an accurate good game. It'll just be out in about 15 years. Weirdly enough, like there's that one
Outlaws. Right?
No, Outlaws is coming out, and something came out about that. Outlaws is there's apparently a rating system. Or like a reputation system.
Yeah, like Red Dead.
Because you're a bounty hunter in that.
Okay.
And it says like you can play the game like either like and you can go on the far end and you're gonna get into trouble with all the syndicates you're gonna deal with. When they mention all these syndicates, I hope that means like that there's like pikes, and then you can go to like the what's it called, like all the different ones, like the huts, like the whatever, like I don't know what era this is. This in between?
It's Empire era.
Oh, it's Empire era. Okay,
Yes.
interesting. I like the little sidekick that we haven't learned a lot about, but like is like the commando droid. Yeah, the commando droid, like a reprogrammed commando droid. I think is like really cool. I've seen like people do fan art of those type of stuff a lot.
I'm really excited.
She has a
for
little
it.
animal that's on her shoulder as well, which I like. She has a Momo.
Oh man.
Like, she is. So yeah, I actually that update gave me a lot of like not confidence, but it made me a bit more excited about that game. If we get some just character customization, so you can gotta make the protagonist how you want her. Kind of like Cal in the last game, where like you could really make Cal how you wanted him to be. Then I think we're cooking like there.
Palmer, what are your thoughts on new games coming out? Thoughts on previous games and expectations for new games?
I was gonna say I'm always excited for like Star Wars games.
What? There's a bunch in development, is there not? Like, there's also that big.
I know there was like a bunch of ideas. I didn't know if
there's
there was like anything.
I haven't heard anything.
There's
about
the
new
Outlaws.
open world
Who's made Outlaws?
I think it's EA.
Was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
EA
was.
made Outlaws. Not okay. I don't always trust EA.
Yeah. Because.
But it might be one of their subsidiaries or something that might do a better job, like kind of because Respawn's EA, isn't it? Respawn, yeah, technically, because
I think so.
Yeah,
I think yeah.
Oh no, it's Mass Entertainment and Ubisoft.
Oh,
okay.
it's not.
Okay.
That, I remember. This is the first game
they finally
that
broke the deal because that every game does not have to be. It's like they have to be EA anymore, and thank fucking God for that because they're literally one of the worst companies in America.
Oh
but
my gosh.
all the microtransactions
in the world.
I was gonna say, don't get me started on the microtransactions.
That's mostly FIFA's fault. FIFA has I think the FIFA players are bringing down the entire gaming scene just with paying.
Hot take for me: I've never liked the FIFA games.
I haven't played a FIFA game in 9 years.
I think they're the most boring game. Any sports game is just a carbon copy with slightly better graphics.
Yeah, and that's why the companies love them because they don't have to do anything to them, and then they just pump it out. They tweak a few things to make it feel different. Like when you're playing, and you're like, all right, same game.
I still don't think that those games look realistic. Like
they don't need to be honest, because you're just about like. I've never played one of those games and ever felt like I was playing the actual sport.
But I feel like that's kind of like what you want to go for.
Like when you're playing FIFA, you don't feel like you're playing like soccer, on in real life.
I've never walked into
I enjoy Mario's soccer game more than I enjoy
love
FIFA.
Mario Strikers. Yeah, that's
absolutely.
Isn't there a new one?
There is.
I haven't played the new one. I remember playing the old one. The old one I used to play all the time. What else can we talk about? There's that one. Isn't Ubisoft have a different Star Wars game as well that's supposed to be that really big open world Starfield type one, but with actual not barren planets? It's that was one that's been talked about.
I think that's Outlaws.
And then there's Eclipse, but Eclipse is just basically hopes and dreams and a trailer and no substance. So there's do you know what Eclipse is?
I've heard of it.
Do you remember that that really cinematic trailer with just random Star Wars shots that you're like, what is all this? There was a weird kind of
way too good
alien looking dude. Yeah, exactly. That trailer was just made and basically they were just here. We need you to make cinematic Star Wars stuff. We don't have a script or a game or anything, but we need you to make a cinematic. It's
make it real.
And that was 2 years ago, and I don't know who's making that still. I don't think anything's happened with that.
So the giant open world game is Outlaws.
Oh, is that? Oh, is okay. Interesting. Do we know how many planets and stuff they have in mind for Outlaws? Is that something they've teased yet?
First off, Eclipse has absolutely nothing going for it. There's no plot, there's no release date, there's no villains, and there's no timeline.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then Outlaws. What was your question for Outlaws? How many games?
Have they given an idea of the scale of the game?
Let's see.
We'll fast forward this.
Yeah. It's compared to the Thousand Planet in Starfield.
Okay, that's what. Okay,
that's
so that's I like. I imagine a lot of them. Some of them will be barren as well.
Yeah,
kind of in the same way. Okay.
I have high.
Honestly, I don't care. Even if you just have 15 super detailed ones that are actual Star Wars planets you can go explore and maybe see an actual. Because I like so that you can go to certain planets in that are very familiar in the last Survivors, especially Jeddah. Jeddah was cool.
Yeah.
But I want to walk around in Jeddah City. You know what I mean? Like I want to walk around in like a Coruscant, like the streets of Coruscant, not like the weird like kind of like
The
industrial
back
area.
alley.
Yeah, the back alley industrial area you are in like where you in the little level you are in like, the first part of that game. So I want to be like immersed into like the actual kind of environment, which is not exactly what Survivor does all the time. I want to be like feel like a part of like the society itself instead of just like kind of fighting through like the wilderness. Or the back
I've
alley.
always wanted like a Red Dead Redemption kind
Yes,
of Star
exactly.
Wars.
Like a
that would be
GTA. Like a
awesome.
GTA.
Oh my god.
I want like a GTA Star
Yeah.
Wars game. Like, not about to say. What else?
Palmer, you got anything?
No, not right now. No.
That's
I'm kind of excited. Like now, you got me all excited about Star Wars game. Thanks.
I'm
a lot,
always
Kat.
like from the tiny bit that I've seen from Outlaws, like the gameplay, and like it looks great. It has
Ubisoft is hit and miss.
it has seamless transition from surface to space. I think that's
Okay,
amazing.
hopefully they do a little bit. Starfield kind of had that at times, but not like really.
No, not really.
Yeah, Starfield is very like interesting because I like enjoy it. But
I
it's
enjoyed it
very-
for like a week.
Yeah, I couldn't stay like into it, and I thought I was gonna be one of those things where I just got lost in it and just stayed in it for like a month or two, and then I just kind of like it
exact
was too
opposite.
big almost, and like to find the you did the opposite.
I said, yeah. For me, it was like it was like I thought I was gonna kind of like get burnt out real fast, and then I ended up getting lost in it. Not for
Really?
that long, but
So maybe my mindset
I went-
needs to be right for it.
I went into Starfield and I did like the one glitch in the beginning where you get like the best armor immediately.
Oh, okay.
And then like I played for a while, but then like I'm just like this is the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm a Bethesda. I actually am like I like Bethesda games. Weirdly enough, like, and they're a little bit outdated in terms of like like the system. And we have very much, I think, outgrown. I think this has been said. We've outgrown the need for storage, like weights, like in games. Like we don't need it. Like just bin it off. Like who cares? It doesn't need to be that realistic.
Right.
But like I have like thousands of hours in like Fallout 4, which is not even like the greatest game in the world. But like I have thousands of hours
With
in that
your
game.
Will Smith character?
No, I did have a Will Smith character. That I had a character that looked like you as well.
Looked like
Yeah,
you.
remember? Yeah, I made a character. Remember that? That was the Fallout character I made that looked like you.
That's just
We'll-
terrible.
we'll
oh, you
find
made
that.
it to look like that.
Yeah, it
oh,
looked
I
like- yeah, you
remember,
remember
I do
that,
remember Yeah, right. I thought like they just had a
I'll
character.
find
built
it
to
if
look
I
like
can.
An old guy.
I'll find it if I can. And we'll put it on the screen
Oh,
next.
great! That'll be awesome. So,
I would like to see that.
It might still be in my phone.
I've been reluctant to play Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Oh,
We can talk about this. Yeah, I'm actually kind of. I haven't played like a lot the Rocksteady like Batman games in a while.
Love Rocksteady Batman.
Or I don't even think I've played all of them, but I've been seeing a lot of like discourse on Twitter about this.
So I was very like I watched gameplay of it, like I watched YouTubers play it, and originally when I watched the story and like what
Oh,
happens.
Will Smith. It's the first picture of my phone for some reason. Oh, and here is. Yeah.
Okay, it does look like it definitely.
I don't think
are
this
you
will
gonna
be-
send this to me? Hold on, stay there. Oh yeah, I remember.
Show Will Smith.
yeah,
Show Will Smith.
that's yeah.
Yeah, it kind of looks. We'll zoom in and put it on the screen.
I was
digitally.
gonna say, the resemblance is uncanny.
The Will Smith is better, honestly. The Will Smith That's a taken in November 2017.
Wow,
Yeah,
it's been that.
apparently. Fallout 4 is nearly. Oh my God, Fallout 4 is nearly 10 years old. My God.
Guys are getting old.
Yeah, we're old. So
that sucks.
Anyway, so I watched like a ton of people play Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and originally the story, like obviously, in the spoilers for the game, you kill the Justice League.
Wait, what?
But I saw a theory, and I was kind of disappointed about how like the Suicide Squad, the Justice League died. Like it was very anticlimactic to me, especially because I grew up playing the Arkham games, and obviously like.
Are they dead?
They killed the Batman.
Are they dead? Like the actual
So
character, or are they duplicates?
So
or
I saw a
something?
theory that because in the game you capture Batman and you run tests on him, and you find out that his DNA has been altered. So I saw a theory. Shout out to the comic historian because this is who I saw it from.
Gotta love comic historian.
He thinks that the Suicide Squad the Justice League in the game that you kill is not the real one.
But it's like, 'cause I saw like, and again, unfortunately, the actor,
Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy passed away. And luckily, apparently, there's 2 more projects that his voice is in. So this is not his last role. So his last role does not get to be being ISIS style executed.
Yes.
By the Suicide Squad.
Okay.
Which is literally what happens.
Yes.
That's the only clip of this game I've seen. That and the Flash one. Like.
I'm very happy to hear that because I was all this time I was actually just gonna ask you guys like how do you guys feel about this being Kevin Conroy's last thing and the way
I think
that he got killed. It's like I'm really glad to hear that.
I think
more.
it's the Caped Crusader podcast series. He lent his voice to, and then he recorded one last bit of the animated series Batman in the new Crisis on Infinite Earths movie Part 3 that's coming out.
He was supposed to do a whole, I think, series.
Yes.
It was like he was supposed to do, but unfortunately he didn't film anything for that.
But I'm excited.
How great it would have been if at the end of the Flash movie, instead of it being, it would have just been
George Clooney.
It would have been Conway. Wouldn't
the
that have been awesome? People would have been like, they would have lost their shit.
Yeah,
that would have been like, yes,
my
finally
money.
some, like it would have been. That would have been better than that. Would have not forgiven how bad that movie was, but it would.
Yeah.
DC had a great year.
It did.
Nothing. All hits.
I am a lover of the animated
What was good
shows.
this year from DC? Like none of the movies, right?
The animated movies were good.
Well, Blue Beetle was the best movie, right?
So,
There must be guys sitting
Blue
in
Beetle
the
was the only thing
animation
I've heard that was
department
slightly
at
positive
DC. Like they must talk about this. Like there's got to be like a bunch of people. They get together, and whoever the DC
My Adventures with
animation people
Superman,
are,
amazing.
and they've got
My
to be
Adventures with
like
Superman, really good.
they have to be like what is the matter with those people in that other office? Because our stuff's all very well received. People love our stuff, and they just ignore it. And we make them money, and they probably don't give them a lot of budget, and their stuff is all well received. There's probably higher ratings than whatever fan rating, critical ratings for all their animated stuff, but they can't get like a movie straight. They screw up every single.
So
every movie is
their Tomorrowverse, I very much enjoyed. Their Tomorrowverse, which was like Superman, Man of Tomorrow, The Justice Society, World War II, Batman: The Long Halloween, like those movies.
That's newer, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I very much loved. And the 2 movies that came out like in 2013, 2014.
That's like a replacement
which
for
was
the other animated universe.
It's a continuation.
Right.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh, it isn't. Okay, I did not know that. I'm about to go watch that now.
Yes.
The one that the Flashpoint
Yes.
one. Okay, interesting. I did not. I'm about to go watch all of them now.
Yes.
Because I actually, unironically, they're not all great, but I unironically love the DC animated universe,
Yes.
and it was a sin how much more organized and like better the characterizations for a lot of the characters are in that than like in the live action one that was going on simultaneously.
You know what's funny that you said that because I've heard people say how it's kind of like with Marvel and DC it's kind of like how they're flip-flop where their live action movies for Marvel are like way better than DC's live action movies, but when it comes to like the animation DC kind of takes the cake.
I agree. I think their animated universe is phenomenal.
I don't even like see much of like the animated stuff that Marvel like puts out really in terms of because they don't really have like a simultaneous like like they have like what they have like directed like I assume streaming like type stuff, right?
I don't think they've put out much animation. I think
I don't even like What If all that much.
I was gonna say like outside
I
of
liked
like,
What If.
There are certain episodes that I think are way better than others. Like actually, like in the newest season, I actually kind of liked the finale just because it was ridiculous. And I really liked the Native American episode because that was entirely brand new.
refreshing.
Yeah, exactly. I liked Echo. Echo came out.
I
recently,
loved
actually,
Echo.
and that was funny because like Marvel's obviously been going through a bit of a rough patch in like their like releases and stuff, especially with like Secret Invasion. The Marvels is what the least grossing Marvel movie of all time in the MCU.
Which is sad because I liked it.
I still haven't seen it.
It's pretty good.
Which is weird enough because weirdly enough I don't like Captain Marvel very much. But I understand why that movie didn't. Movie got screwed over. Like it was one, and some of the Captain Marvel hate is very much justified because the movie's just not like that great, and then a lot of it's a whole other like fucking can of worms that has nothing to do with the movie and is basically just politics.
I didn't
and
enjoy. I didn't like. I can watch Captain Marvel, but I didn't like
It's not
enjoy
bad.
it. It's
Like,
not terrible.
Like, most of the MCU, that's what most of the MCU is. It's like is in how it was survived for so long. Is that like they've never really put out like straight up
Atrocious.
atrocious films like
But
DC.
I
Like,
very
really,
much like
really.
the Marvels. Like the Marvel. Like I think that they
I
made.
really like Miss Marvel.
they
as
made-
a show. Like,
They made
weirdly
Carol, in my opinion, they made Carol a much more likable character. Kamala Khan's great, and I love.
Okay,
Photon.
good. I just wanted to make as long as she's good, because I think she's going to be in the MCU for a very long time.
Yes.
And I'm happy
And it's
about
one of the
that.
better castings of the newer. Well, the new MCU era has just been so like interesting because they like abandoned everything that like made it work. Like the reason everything worked, and I always talk about the prime era of like the MCU was like 2014 to like the end of Avengers Endgame. Like that 5-year stretch where like you went a year and almost every plot would feed into something like the next year, or if at the most like the year after that.
It connected like so smooth.
Yes, exactly. Like the way Ragnarok and like goes into those movies, and like it just felt like it was more that you were
Organic.
or more organic, but more that you were being rewarded for keeping up. Like with little bits here and there. They just don't do any of that in
Yeah,
Phase
it's
4. Like,
Well, so like how I view Phase 4 is kind of like the recuperation, like post the blip, and like it's like how everyone reacted to the blip, and like yeah, it's not the most entertaining, but like I understand that there needed to be like a buffer zone. So like I'm hoping.
but there's been like no like
There hasn't been a
cohesive-
story,
There's been like no
like-
overarching plot at all though. There's been like dozens and dozens and dozens of new characters introduced to the board. Like they've infinitely increased like the players on like this board.
Yeah,
that
we
they have.
introduce
And
a
it was
character
already a
and then we
lot.
don't see it again. Like
and we haven't seen them. Like,
For,
Moon Knight, like,
Moon Knight
oh,
2
that's
years ago,
great.
don't see
I
her.
can't wait to see Moon Knight again, and I don't
Right.
think I
Never
ever
gonna
will.
see
Like,
Moon Knight again.
Am I ever gonna see Moon Knight? I mean, like, and I really liked that show. That was good.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed
And
that
again,
one.
the writer's strike seems to have almost like kind of and Marvel's like own looking at what's happened seems to have forced them into this new period because they have a single movie this year.
which I'm personally excited for. I
have hopes for Deadpool 3.
The one
I'm
guy
excited
who
about it.
worked on it, I forget his name, said like that Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds are going to
Well,
save
that's
the
going
MCU.
to be electric. Like even no matter what the movie is, like nobody's going to deny that Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds bickering with each other for 2 hours, whatever the hell it's going to be, is going to be good. It's very much going to be. I think they're going to do what everyone thought Multiverse of Madness like should have been.
Yes.
Like I think that's basically what's going to happen. We're going to see a lot of Fox cameos. A lot of them are going to just fucking die.
I think any
It's like, I think-
cameo that was Fox is going to die.
Oh yeah, that's it's gonna be so funny, but
It's gonna be Deadpool kills the Marvel universe.
it's very interesting because who is and this is the main problem with Marvel I think now is like, and this is almost outside of their control, but they probably around the end of Endgame, Marvel was kind of trying to position 3 people to be like the center of their universe.
The new Trinity.
Spider-Man, because kind of like being, which was kind
I
of what
think-
No Way Home was about.
I think
and
that,
like
I think in my personal opinion, I think the 3 that they wanted to go with were Captain Marvel, Thor, and Sam.
actually, I disagree with you. Because I don't think they've treated like yes they've made Sam Captain America, but they haven't treated him in a way like
Thor, Captain Marvel.
yeah, like kind of.
I agree. Yeah.
And even like I actually kind of like for the most part like Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I love Falcon and Winter
There are
Soldier.
really good parts of it. There's other parts that I think are pretty weak, like the villains.
Yeah.
I hate
But,
hate
but
Corey
weirdly
so
enough,
much.
just the idea that the Captain America, like that version of Captain America, had a show instead of a movie, just kind of means that
Well,
you're
he's
not
getting
taking him as seriously. I mean, now he's getting
a movie,
which
and I think that's gonna be great because it's gonna it's
which I have some
supposedly
issues with,
going
but that's
to
gonna
be.
too. I have some fears about that movie that I've heard. As
I
well.
think it's gonna be like Harrison Ford's in it.
Harrison Ford is in it.
Yeah,
That is good. But I think the 3 that they were mainly going for is Tom Holland's Spider-Man, Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther. I think very much supposed to be
R.I.P.
in the center.
Yeah.
Very much rest in peace.
Yeah.
And Captain Marvel.
I thought Doctor
each of
Strange.
these-
I thought Doctor Strange.
Doctor
was
Strange
gonna
too.
be more of a major
Doctor
character.
Strange, I'll give you that one as well.
I think that they
but they
had-
haven't. But it hasn't worked for one. The unfortunate shit with what happened with Chadwick. Then with the response to Captain Marvel, and then not having full control over Spider-Man. So now they just have no one in the center, which is like the entire the entire universe used to kind of just float around, like spin around, like
Everything
Iron Man and
went
Captain
through
America,
Iron Man.
kind of,
Mhm.
So to
or like
speak.
the Avengers if you want to
Right.
expand it out a little bit more. Like Thor would show you like the world, and if you needed like some outside, that kind of cosmic stuff, you go to the Guardians.
Guardians of the Galaxy, yeah.
I think that they're kind of banking on Spider-Man to be the main, like, who everyone looks to right now, because they do now have a better deal with Sony, and Spider-Man 4 is it's in the early stages of development.
And
John Watts isn't coming back, but I think it's still going to be a pretty good.
And we seemingly are getting the start of an actual storyline with a New York storyline.
Yes.
Which we started with, weirdly enough, Hawkeye. Which I actually like Hawkeye.
I love Hawkeye.
Yeah.
God, I'm cold in here. I'm, like, shivering now.
I'm sweating.
I'm like shivering now.
Somewhere in the middle. Somewhere, relaxed.
But,
Hawkeye
and then
was-
weirdly enough, continued with Echo of all things.
Which makes sense because
Makes
Echo,
sense.
like, oh,
He's
there he
going, "Keep
goes.
going, turn the heat on. And then it's going to continue into Daredevil Born Again, which
Which
they're-
I'm
which they're-
excited for.
which
Yeah.
They're changing around a lot, and it's kind of we've learned the initial thing was Daredevil was going to be kind of like a non-unofficial like reboot, and maybe like the original Daredevil was going to not be canon like it wasn't. But
Right.
recently, in the last month or so, they've canonized a bunch of like
They canonized all the Defenders.
They canonized all the Defender stuff. Probably a few things here and there. They probably are kind of going to tweak around with. They even canonized stuff like Peggy Carter and like Agent Carter and I think like Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff like that, for at least to a degree.
I think that like maybe season 1 and 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are canonized, and then I think that they said that the rest of the show takes place in somewhere, like in a different universe.
So, with them canonizing, like, all the Defenders, kind of like, funny, like, kind of had me thinking, so Cottonmouth from the Luke Cage show and the Blade movie,
Oh yeah, because Mahershala Ali.
But I think that they said that I think Kevin Feige came out and said that every Marvel show and movie that's come out is canon to the MCU, but depending on which, like Blade, I don't think is in the MCU. I think that's its own
entity
world
almost
on its own.
Okay, all right.
Especially, I don't know about the new one.
We can't even get into Blade. Like the new, I'm not getting into like what catastrophe that's been, because I have no idea like what the behind the scenes thinking about that has been with the amount of writers they've gone through. The fact that they announced it, like he's been announced for like 4 or 5 years, like and we've got like the script's not done. Like and he's been angry about things that have gone on with it. It's like you signed him after he won his second Oscar. Like it's like and he's literally one of the best actors like in Hollywood. Yeah. Like genuinely, Mahershala Ali is a titan. Like and you're like, nah, we're gonna fuck around with this.
It's like we'll keep you on the back burner.
Oh, it's like, yeah, let's not like move this at all. We're gonna put your voice in a post credit scene. We don't have a movie for you yet.
Can I bring something up? Like,
go for it.
we're all over the place anyway.
Yeah, we're just kind of.
And if you're still watching, this is a Star Wars podcast. But it's funny. I'm going to throw in Star Trek because when they wanted to bring the model why I think some of these franchises, Star Wars, everybody's screwing it up, is because they decide to go get somebody, but they don't have a project that's ready. Where when like Leonard Nimoy was Mr. Spock, and he left. And they were like, we want you to come back. And he said, okay, I'm going to come back, but I want to direct 2 movies, and I want to develop the script. And they were like, okay. So he went out and developed a script before they announced anything. And then he came back and they said, we're making Star Trek 3. Mr. Spock's coming back. He will also be directing Star Trek 4. He developed a script for that. And then they announced it. We do this thing now where it's like, oh, we've got the biggest star in the world playing this character, but we haven't written a script yet. We don't know when we're writing the script yet. It's going to be something about him buying a sandwich, and then the guy sits on the shelf or the girl sits on the shelf for 6 years because they have no plan. Like where I think Star Wars had more of a plan, then it got changed. I think Marvel had a plan. and then they abandoned all that
Well,
process.
I think the only semblance of a
after
plan they
after
had-
There you go.
Endgame.
That's how we got here.
Well, the only semblance of a plan that Marvel kind of had was like around Kang, and now that's gone. And it doesn't seem like they're even recasting him, which is like funny because it's like an easy character to recast if you wanted to. But I feel like honestly they've realized that they don't have as much road as they thought for the multiverse era because people are already sick of this shit. Like people are very much already sick of the multiverse. Like if you go on like and find the public sentiment, like in every other like side thing like DC and like other random shit is like popping into it now, and like so now it's like been oversaturated immediately, and we've barely even started the story. So I think we're about to get into like Deadpool 3, and that's going to really finally orient like what the hell is going on with like I know some stuff finally happened with it that at least seemed significant at the end of the Marvels with the post-credit scene and stuff there.
Yes.
And I assume that's actually going to kind of bleed into Deadpool, weirdly enough, because of like
I can't
because
see
it's a
how
because it's a
that-
Fox character, isn't it? Or is that like a completely different? Is that the Fox
Oh,
universe?
it
Or
is.
is like
It is.
I'm talking about
Oh, the final post-credit
I'm talking
scene.
about the final post-credit scene where like because what's her name?
I
is-
don't think
yeah.
that that's the Fox universe.
I don't think so.
I think that's a separate universe.
Okay. Oh yeah, because because their mom's in there
Yeah.
as well. That's right. Interesting.
All right, we're moving on.
So, Christian also had a topic that he wants to talk about.
Before we get to that topic,
Oh,
Yeah, we'll cap off whatever this.
I want to
random
top.
discussion
I
is.
want to do this because I think it's important. I think we should all take a moment of silence for Carl Weathers.
yes.
Oh, yes, very true.
absolutely.
So just
Absolute legend of an actor, of a person, honestly.
Athlete.
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Like if you think of iconic
Pop
people.
culture
Now I've
imprint.
watched Apollo. You know, that was the first time I saw him,
Mm-hmm.
and then I can't tell. Like he has so many. Carl Weathers has so many iconic roles.
Yeah.
In so many different IPs. Like and then
all different ages of his life.
just
Like,
you think about it. Obviously, he did comedy well. Obviously, he
Happy
did.
Gilmore.
He's
I love
in.
him in
He's in a
Happy
bunch
Gilmore.
of those like 70s, 80s movies. Like he's in Predator. He did a great movie called a sequel to Guns and Navarone called Force 10 from Navarone, which is one of my favorite war movies of all time. He did it with Harrison Ford. It's just a great. He's great in that. I felt bad that Action Jackson, which was the vehicle they tried to give him, wasn't as well received. But if you go back and watch that movie, he's so good in it. And obviously, you know, the tie-in to this podcast is that he's in the Star Wars universe, obviously. Now that's another problem for the Star Wars universe. How do we replace Carl Weathers? Like, how do we just end the character?
I think you just end the character.
Yeah, I can't see how they could recast
And that's
him.
just so hard because that seemed like that was such that part of the.
He loved that part.
That,
Like,
and he
the
directed.
amount of energy
he
like,
directed
a
two
lot, yeah.
episodes of Mandalorian, and they're both really. The episode
He was a
where
part of the creative,
the actor
like,
who plays
environment
Jar
there
Jar.
as well.
That episode is directed by Carl Weathers. Like, there's so
He's
many
directed a few,
things
yeah.
that, and he directed another episode too. Like I just, and obviously he was a tremendous person too. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's just such a loss. And not, I mean, he was in his 70s, but that's not old. It's just,
not at all.
yeah, to me,
Not
it's just,
old,
for
no.
me, it's crushing because I'm watching all these guys that I watched in movies when I was a kid growing up, and like one by one, I feel like we're losing them. And Carl Weathers is just a tough hit because he was just such a,
Yeah.
you know, and he just always worked. He started working in 1973. And then he was working up until just recently. It's
Right.
just sad.
I just always like remember like the way he talks about like the Grogu like puppet. Like there's so many interviews and just the way he talks about like that thing. It's like it's so like,
It's so cute.
Yeah.
like,
Ahmed
I don't
Best is
even- Ahmed
the
Best,
actor.
yeah, director, actor. But yeah, rest in peace, Carl Weathers.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
All right, Christian, go ahead.
Okay, so
In case you
we're gonna
couldn't know,
yeah. Obviously, I guess our little news is that we're gonna be trying to delve into other stuff apart from Star Wars, which is gonna be a little weird with the set, but I think
We'll make it
I think
work.
it'll be fine. But we're gonna start. So like this month alone, we're gonna be doing some other reaction type stuff. Obviously we. The main thing on our channel that did like really well is our reaction to Ahsoka, and some of our other reactions have done pretty decent as well. Like, we did a Bad Batch series.
Yep.
But this month alone, we have the new live action Avatar, like the Last Airbender show coming out on Netflix, and we have Halo.
Halo comes out this week.
Which we're gonna kind of watch to hate on, I think, because of the first season was god awful. But me and Jack are longtime Halo fans.
We are.
And then we have one more thing. And then Bad Batch does return this month as well, which that'll be the normal crew. who's when they're around,
Yes.
reacting to that. We still got to get Julian to react to season 2 of that before it comes
our plan
out.
for Bad Batch season 2, it's coming out. We're going to binge watch it one day, and then we're gonna put all of the episodes out like within a span of 3 days, right leading up until Bad Batch season 3. So it's coming out. It's going to be a minute because Julian's out of town right now. But as soon as he gets back, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen very quick.
I like that.
So we're all ready to watch season 3
Yes.
of Bad Batch, which hopefully is going to be great.
We are not stopping anything Star Wars. We want to make that clear that we are still very much into Star Wars content, and we're not like the podcast is still going to be Star Wars. But like today, it was kind of a test to talk about other things other than Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I hope that you guys respond to it well.
We have a lot of other interests. Like I'm into like tons of other like stuff, and I have a encyclopedia like type stupid knowledge of like stuff tucked away that doesn't need to be there for like a lot of different things. Marvel, obviously, Marvel and DC, which we just spent a lot of time talking about, obviously, where we obviously have a lot of history with. A lot of cartoons, which we're going to talk about one right now, or at least an adaptation of one.
One of my favorite TV shows of all time.
Oh, this is my favorite TV show.
Absolutely.
This is my top 3 favorite TV shows of all time.
What you're going to talk about does have a relationship with Star Wars.
It does.
Yeah. Filoni worked on this. Filoni worked on this show actually.
If it wasn't for the creator of who created the Avatar animated series, we wouldn't have Clone Wars.
That's very
So,
true.
I mean, in Clone
In a way,
Wars,
yeah.
ironically, is probably, I think, if you think about it, in the Star Wars, I think everybody agrees. Like the people that like Clone Wars, there's not a lot of people that jump and "Oh, that thing's terrible."
I honestly think Avatar and Clone Wars have a lot of crossover.
Yeah, they do.
Avatar.
We all like Clone Wars. There's
Yeah.
very people that like, "Oh, that thing's a piece of shit." Like we all like.
Well,
Clone
even I think the idea of like what like Clone Wars, especially like seasons 3 through 7 represent, and like kind of what Avatar represents is kind of like a cartoon that is for kids, but can be watched and is teaching lessons that are a bit more mature, and it's kind of
Absolutely.
distilling those lessons in a really good way that even like young children
I know a
can
lot.
understand. And then when those young children grow up, like a lot of people did when it came out on Netflix for the first time in 2020, and a lot of people rediscovered it for the first time
Yeah,
since
I've
their
seen it.
childhood,
I've
and a lot of
seen-
people were introduced to it, and that's kind of why all this is happening now, and especially why the other big news that's related to Avatar that's kind of separate from like the live action show. But again, we're going to be talking about the live action show, on our kind of thoughts and expectations for it. That is out what day?
That comes out the
22nd of this
22nd.
month, which I actually don't know what day of the week that is.
I think it's a Friday.
Maybe a Friday. I'm nervous.
It's a Thursday.
Thursday. Okay, interesting.
Wars. Yeah, those are Thursday releases.
Now again, I don't think this needs to exist anyway. I think it's because you're not going to make something. I think the original 3 seasons of Avatar are kind of flawless.
They are.
Like there's very little you can take out. There's very few filler episodes of
Except for
stuff that doesn't.
The Great Divide.
There's the Great Divide, and then there's like 1 or 2 other episodes that are kind of a bit like throwaway, and then everything else comes back at some point. Like it's a very like kind of
It
like
holds
like
up
the
very
pacing
well.
is amazing. Like for 3 seasons through, it's contained.
Yep.
It, like does a lot of ideas, deals with a lot of like kind of mature concepts for even like a kid to deal with. And then obviously like. Weirdly enough, I thought what was going to be the hardest thing to adapt was going to be the effects and like was going to be the pacing because like there's 20 episodes a season in the original cartoon. We're doing 8 episodes for this show, but I thought that we were going to have a problem with like the world building, like with like maybe the characters. Maybe we were going to have to deal with like a whitewashing situation again.
Everyone looks great.
Which isn't the situation. They all look like the characters. I'm not even going to get into like I know there's some controversy with the Sokka actor. But that's gone back and forth too many times because it's like an idea as if he's part of like an unrecognized tribe or if he's part of like it's some weird thing that I don't think like I have the knowledge to get into if that kid's like been lied about his ethnicity or whatever, which because I know that's been an issue, but I think that's honestly the least of my worries. Like from what the trailers are not what put me off at all. I think the trailers are
look
mostly
great.
fine. they even delayed the show to make the effects look good, which to me sounds, and I think the effects do look good.
They look
in
great.
the trailers.
Which
is
The one that sticks out to me is waterbending. Like,
Yeah.
it
Honestly,
looks great.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever gonna look better than the animated style, just because I think it's more dynamic.
no,
You can be
right.
more dynamic. You can do interesting, creative things that you can never do in the live action way. But weirdly enough, what has unnerved me and a lot of other people, and kind of thrown up red flags this past week, have been comments in interviews from both the cast, and the showrunner and executive producers on this show, which I think are deeply troubling. And again, people I think have always had kind of a. I don't think the overall thoughts of this show have ever been positive, expectations. You know what I mean? I don't
No,
know if that's
I
ever
don't-
been
I
because
think-
again because it's been 4 years since the original showrunners who were supposed to showrun this show. And the original creators of the Avatar cartoon were supposed to, I don't know if direct, but they were supposed to executive produce and showrun this show. They left because of creative differences, which is never a good thing, especially if they're the original creator.
Right.
And because the environment wasn't great. So then we didn't hear a lot about it for a lot of years, besides the fact that it kept getting delayed for effects reasons, which is good.
Yep.
Cast came out, looks good. Even the CGI looks very
great.
solid. What's it called? Costuming
The
and all
wardrobe
that.
looks amazing.
I have little to no complaints about any of that I've seen. But let's get
we
into
go.
some of the comments.
Complaint number 1.
Now, within a span of this week, because this is kind of like the PR week,
Before
they're trying to win over the original fans to come back and watch.
Before
and
we go into
sure.
the negatives, Palmer, do you have any positives to say?
When it was first announced again, that they were gonna be coming back out with the show, I was really excited, because I was like, all right, I know, like Christian had said, that it's kind of went away for a little bit, and then it came back. Loved Avatar, watched it as a kid, again, really excited. Then I saw how it was looking, and I was like, okay, this
Building
is
up
looking
trust,
good.
building
This
up.
is looking good. This is looking really good. The costumes look good. The characters look good.
accurate.
The effects. Everything was
Obelisk, yeah.
too good to be true. He does look great. Really, right? And then that's kind of
They opened their mouth, which is what I call. This is a very common phenomenon, I think, in nowadays. And the two shows that I'm going to immediately point to and say what I think has happened to Avatar here is it's been Witchered, which is not good. I'm pretty sure
Witcher season 1?
No, not Witcher season 1 isn't even that great either. But no, I think it's Witcher season 2. And who's aware of all the Witcher drama?
vaguely.
Besides
To-
Henry Cavill getting
That's part of it. To quickly fill in, Henry Cavill, much of what his back and forth with them about was
It
that
wasn't
the
accurate.
writers do not understand the source material. Henry Cavill plays the games
Yes.
and is a fan of the books and stuff. So it was this weird environment where Henry Cavill wanted to stick more to the
source
lore and the
material.
idea of the stuff was than the actual writers. And in certain circumstances, the writers actively are not even trying to adapt, and they're just using an aesthetic that is what this world is, and then trying to just play with their own ideas and stuff, which doesn't work.
It
And
happens a lot
immediately
with video
pushes-
games.
It happens a lot with video games, but the main thing I can think of is Witcher is the main one that I've seen, which is just where the entire positivity and trust in the project went away entirely because of the comments of the showrunner. And the same thing with Halo.
Yeah.
I was
Same
gonna
thing.
say,
Halo is identical as well, where the showrunners literally bragged that they didn't play the games. They bragged that they didn't read all the books, and that's why we just have random bits of lore that are kind of from the games, that are kind of in it, but it's just a sci-fi show with a Halo.
It's really not.
It's a sci-fi show with a Halo skin.
Right.
It's that's all it is. There's nothing Halo about really about the Halo show.
They
The same
mention-
thing with Witcher.
they
The Witcher is
mention
nothing like the games. It's nothing. It's very much nothing like the source material books. It's even further away from those. And that's kind of what I think has happened with this. We have a showrunner who fundamentally does not understand the source material, and I will get into that with a few of the comments that have just been made. Now, the first one that came out, and this was like where people really started to get like the first red flag, was comments about Sokka and certain aspects. I think this was actually originally from the actor in an interview, where this was the one. I think there's a Forbes article. It said Netflix Avatar: The Last Airbender series will take out Sokka's sexism. Now, for anyone who's not aware, do you want to explain what the sexism in like the first season of Avatar is? Everyone here is aware of it.
So before I get into that, the article that I saw wasn't that they would take it out completely, just hinder it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Which I think still kind of represents like the way the act. And again, maybe this is an actor misspeaking, and there hasn't been as much. The showrunner, I don't think, has talked about this specific Sokka thing. I think this is only comments from like the actor, and I think from like the Katara actor as well, kind of said something about it. But the way that the actor represented it was that like we had to tone down or kind of like not make him as sexist because, but he did. But what the problem is that they didn't understand. He made it seem like that it was that the sexism in that first season of Avatar is just kind of like this weird quirk of an older cartoon.
Yes. When
that is not the case.
I didn't get that feeling at all.
No.
It's
Sokka's sexism in Avatar is about character growth. He is he has a sense of masculinity that's been grown up by the culture that he's been grown in, which kind of views women as slightly less superior to them. Right. And then he spends the first few episodes getting his ass handed to him by his sister,
every woman
by the Kyoshi warriors.
They come along with.
But I mean, literally, the way that Aang is found in the is because Sokka makes a sexist comment to Katara. She gets mad and breaks open the iceberg that Aang's in. We literally find Aang because of like Sokka's like character flaws. Yeah, and then Sokka goes on to learn and grow as a person because of the Kyoshi warriors and stuff. Like, it's part of the character. It's not like he's a bad guy because he's sexist. It's like, no, we acknowledge that sexist is bad because he gets made fun of for it and he gets embarrassed and then he has to learn. Like, so that to me seems like you fundamentally miss. And again, that's only a smaller part of Sokka's arc. Sokka's main arc is just being a non-bender in a bender world and trying to be useful to this team of benders that he's on, and which is why he eventually
3-on-3 plus Sokka.
Exactly, which is why he eventually becomes the leader and the plan maker for the team, and that's like what his growth is. But he becomes like this kind of like positive masculine like figure for the group as it goes on, especially in like he literally like gets with the girl that like schools him on like about being like sexist. Like he gets with Suki. So like that to me felt like, okay, that's a fundamental misunderstanding of what that part is. And that also kind of throws into me, if they took out that aspect of the sexism, did they take out the sexism stuff from the end of the season? With Pakun, the waterbending tribe master who like refuses to teach. Because the Northern Water Tribe has a very specific thing where the women benders are healers, and then which is a very common like classic thing in indigenous like type like environments, and depending on like the culture. And then Katara has to like obviously break out of that and convince them. So like, will they tone that down? Like with the idea, well, this society's bad. Like, is that no? Like, yes, that's the point. Like that's the point is that the sexism is like a generational, like a conceptual, societal thing that you must overcome. Exactly. That you have to learn. It's like no, it's like no, make him be less likable. It's like that's not the point. That's not the story. It's like him being able to overcome being sexist makes him likable. Like that's it's like you don't fundamentally understand what's going on.
Is he not gonna fall in love with the moon?
Yeah, exactly. And even like that, and like he's even mad at by the end of the season, if I remember correctly, because the Moon Girl is promised to like a different guy, and that guy's sexist. Yes. Yeah. So like he's upset about that, and that girl likes him because he's not as sexist in a way. So that was like one thing. So Jack, you see, like that's the first one. Thoughts. And again, that might be just an actor who doesn't understand the character. This is the least convincing of like that there might be something dangerously wrong with the other ones.
I have told Christian this, and I am going to stand like unless Christian like comes up with like something that's like
okay, we're moving on. I got two more.
Equal to the amount that it is like The Last Airbender, which it completely like.
Okay, well, it's not going to be that.
Hold on,
it's not going to be an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Okay, like it's not good. Like, it can't be that bad.
I go into any show with the exclusion of Halo because I don't think that is going to be. I go into any show with hopes that it will be like a fun show. Like, I don't need it to be perfect. I don't need it to be a 1-for-1. I don't need everything to be the exact same. If I can have fun with the show and I can like rewatch it occasionally, then I will enjoy the show. So I will very much be going into Avatar with like a nice, like, even with all
the red flag hold above
even,
my head.
even with all of Christian's red flag, I'm gonna go into it happy. And like, yes, I do agree that Sokka's sexism,
That sounds bad.
Sokka's sexism is very much a character trait that he needs to overcome
For the first season. It's not even that big of a thing for the entire arc, actually. Which is why it's even worse that after Sokka came out, they spent the rest of the week putting up a red flag on every one of of all three. Actually, the only character they haven't like seemingly messed up yet, like, is Zuko, which I have no idea what they're gonna.
Oh
like,
no! What did they say about Uncle Iroh?
I mean, Iroh. I mean, the more the kids I'm talking about. Like, Zuko, I haven't heard anything about. I don't like. Weirdly enough, if you change anything about Zuko at all, like, you automatically make an inferior product. Like, it's like that's just the truth.
Yeah.
Zuko is one of the greatest redemption stories in media in
Yes.
general. You can't write or improve like what happened. Like, Zuko's the best part of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Absolutely.
Like, generally, like, you have like one of the best shows of all time, and he's the best part of it. Like, you can't make anything better. So don't even try to fuck with Zuko. Like, if you do at all, I'm glad they're not talking about Zuko. I don't want to hear them make comment on Zuko. Like, let's move into the next one though. We'll move into Katara now.
Well, hold on. Let Palmer, let Palmer give his 2 cents about Sokka.
So, I wish I had Jack's optimism
Yeah, I'm a very cynical person.
when it comes to, the show. And I'm gonna watch it. I'm like, if it surprises me, great. But there's been a lot of red flags.
You know what's the main reason I'm very cynical as well, and not to, like, and I think you can agree, is that because immediately after the Avatar guys got quit Netflix, they went and made a deal with Nickelodeon to produce animated stuff, like when they're adults and new series and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I love the
so
Avatar world.
excited for
That's
that.
way better. Like, so even if this sucks, like, I don't care. I'm
least we have this to
I'm
follow
getting
up.
something
Yeah.
very much better that I want more in like a year. Like, they're doing an adult team Avatar
gang.
movie, like with all of them in their like mid-20s, like, you know,
Which
like,
is something I
which is a
wanted,
childhood
you
like
know?
dream that people have always wanted. Like,
Absolutely.
I want a continuation of the last
like between
The
like,
Last
like
Airbender.
between the two series, and then they're doing a sequel series with like another
With the new
like, the
Earthbender.
post-Korra Avatar as well, which was going to be
Which was-
in an even more modern environment, weirdly enough, which will be interesting as well. But then there's also apparently a Zuko movie.
Yeah.
There's like there's a couple other things that they've made like teaser for. There's a whole slate,
Yeah.
and I'm way more excited for that than I am for like this live action thing. And even if this live action thing is good, like we have the much better thing to fall back on.
stuff.
It
More
doesn't
the
matter
merrier,
if this
you know?
sucks.
Yeah.
The only thing that matters to is Netflix, which I don't care if Netflix like crashes and burns. Like, the project that they're hoping is going to be their next Stranger Things. Like, Netflix does this type of thing all the time. They shoot themselves in the foot constantly with their own series.
Or with, asking people for, multiple passwords. If,
Yeah.
they
Actually, that apparently worked though. I saw an article that worked. That they got a uptick. So the password sharing.
Really?
Yeah, I guess they were right. So
Oh, that's
they
very
still-
surprising
they
to me.
still suck, but they were correct.
Okay,
Okay.
what's
Next
red
and
flag
these
2?
ones are worse somehow than the Katara one.
What's
Or than
red
the-
flag part 2?
Okay. This is a comment about. Here, let me make sure I get the correct thing. I think I lost track of where the one was. Sorry, I did not save that one. Okay, the other one was, and I don't even know if there's that much commentary on this one. This was from the actress as well, about, I think, the Katara actress, I think,
Okay.
if I remember correctly. And she said something about,
I want to know.
I want to just find the exact quote if I can.
I'm so
Yeah,
happy
we'll
that when I
skip up
search
this.
Avatar, like the live action movie, the live action show comes up instead of Avatar: The Blue People now.
Yeah, I'm upset with that. Yeah, this is what it was actually Katara's actors that made some of the comments about the Sokka stuff getting removed. He says, "I feel like there were a lot of moments in the original show that were iffy, which I don't think is true at all.
So maybe the
So I think
actors
it's-
just don't know.
Maybe the actor, which is what I'm giving a little bit of like credit for that. But again, these are child actors, so I assume that they're getting fed a lot of they're being very much like worked like very closely with, I think, to get these roles by like the people in charge. So I feel like anything they're parroting is been parroted to them. Like, if that makes sense. Like they're not like, especially like the Aang kid who's like fucking 12 or 13 or something. Like at least the Sokka kid's a bit older, but the other ones are younger.
Right.
Which makes sense.
Okay, this is the direct quote from the Katara actors. There are certain roles that I think that Katara did in the cartoon that we didn't necessarily also do here. I mean, I don't want to really get into a lot of that, but some gender issues that didn't quite translate from the cartoon. Oh wait, this is actually said producer Albert Kim. That's the producer. This may be referring to then this is what the article goes into, but I agree with this is what I think they're referring to. This may be referring to Katara acting as a maternal figure for the group. Again, which is like an important aspect of like the sexism talk that we were dealing with like a little while ago. Now, they're doing this out of some like. Again, this is gonna sound bad, but again, it's not coming from the direction you think it is. It's coming from an even further left position, actually. This is a very like neo-lib, like ass. Like analysis of like, well, women can't be badass. Like, women are all mothers. That's bad. Like, it's bad women motherly. And it's like, no, like, she's motherly and she's badass. Like, that's both. And it's not like, and Katara's not motherly and like emotional because she woman. Like, that's not like what the original street. Like, Katara is like motherly and like a bit emotional because like her mother was killed when she was like young. Like, there's a literal line that Sokka says to Toph, actually. There's an episode, like, second season, where, like Katara and, like, Toph are not getting along. I think
it's the third season.
Oh, third? Is that late, actually?
Yeah.
Really?
It's when they're pulling all the heists.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Nation. Okay, so they're just, like, they're not getting along. And Sokka, like, they get in a big argument. And then Sokka, and, like, Toph gets really mad at Katara for basically acting motherly, which she does to Sokka. Yeah. She was her older brother. She does to Aang even. She does, and then she even does to Toph in a way. And Toph doesn't like that because Toph has like overbearing parents, and like that's her. Again, all of that's what I love about Avatar. All the main characters have like a fundamental like emotional like mental health like character flaw that like they work through by the end of the season, by the end of the series, like, and they grow and become better people and deal with their like issues to a degree. So, like, the line that, like, Sokka says at one point, to me, this feels like, so are they removing the fact that Katara is motherly or, like, super caring? Like, the group, like, because, like, that's, like, her whole...
That's a whole different character.
Like, that's not Katara, then. Like, that's just badass woman who fights and uses waterbend. Like, no, like, Katara, like, the reason Katara is, like, again, like, it's because her mother died. And, like, there's literally the line that, like, encapsulates this well is, like, Sokka says to Toph, it's like, I forget the exact start of it. It's like I can't. It's like the truth is I can't remember my mother's face. When I close my eyes and I think of my mom, I just see Katara. Like that's what the point of her acting motherly is. Like it's written into the show. Like it's like encompassed in a single line, and you're like, oh, and again maybe that's referring to something else. Like,
I can't imagine. Like,
but. Like, what else are they referring to when they think of gender issues and, like, refer to it like that? Like, to me, that's what it sounds like.
Maybe, like, it could possibly play back into the sexism thing, where, like, maybe the Water Tribe isn't all about women being healers.
Well, I think it's the idea that, to me, it sounded like, tell me, like, doesn't it feel like that she's saying, like, that, like, the fact that they made her motherly was, like, sexist, kind of? Which I think in, like, certain situations that can be true. Like if you can make a woman like overbearing and like certain ways you can write a female like a woman to be like that. But that's not like what like Avatar is a very specific characterization that's not that. And again it's a if this is what actually the writers like interpreted this as like an iffy thing from an older cartoon that just doesn't age as well. Then I think they've missed another point of a major character. Absolutely. And that's an even more essential point to Katara's character than I think the sexism stuff in overcoming it is to Sokka's.
Yeah.
So
I would agree. But I don't like
again, this is the one that I think has the least amount. I think this is the one that we're reading the most into. But it's also if what we're reading into is correct, it's a worse. Like
I'm going to keep my optimism and say that I can't imagine that they would take out maybe it's just me, but I don't like I can't
more.
Imagine that's like that like that they would take out that
No.
much of a character's.
Now, lastly,
Well, let
Oh, yeah,
let Palmer
yeah, sorry,
speak his.
I
you're
keep talking.
fine.
I'm talking a lot. I
You're
apologize.
fine. Like Jack said, I can't imagine that they would, but on the same hand, for some reason, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, but the other thing is, I'm just shocked because these type of comments should not be coming out. Like since 2020, one of I don't know if anyone watches like video essays like here, like the long ass videos. Like I like get into those type of stuff, and there's so many that like go into like the characterizations and the themes and stuff of like each of the Avatar characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's hour-long videos that like fucking like in detail, like in totally nail like there's hour and 50 long. There's a channel called Hello Future Me, which is like an author who also just does like analysis and stuff and does like writing like advice and stuff like that. So he breaks down characters to kind of help people. And he did like one on like he has like one on I think every character in Avatar, but the main three that I remember are like Zuko, Iroh, and Azula, and he goes in like into he's like the positive, like one's like the positive masculinity of like Uncle Iroh, and it literally like breaks down like just how positive and like why like he's such a beloved like positive character. Then it goes literally into like the childhood like trauma and like mental health issues and like the way that their parents like treated them that made Zuko and like Azula like what they are. And these are like over an hour long videos of a guy like literally in painstaking detail like completely explaining to you and breaking down like all the plots and like character arcs of these characters. Like you can just go on YouTube and watch it for free, and we have professional writers that potentially fucked this up, like like actual showrunners, screenwriters.
Have you guys
that...
ever read the after like the book 4 comics?
I don't think so. No.
They're really good, and it actually dives into Azula a lot better.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen these. Yes,
I haven't read it, but I have heard of them.
I've
They're
watched
very
videos on
good.
these.
They're very good. I would if you haven't, I would highly recommend. Like if you're a fan of Avatar, watching the book 4 Avatar,
Yeah, they
The
keep
Last
a lot of the same
Airbender
themes
comics.
and stuff actually
Yeah.
as well. So. But let's get into the final one, because they stick another big red flag right in Aang's back.
Okay.
And this is the one I'm like
The most concerned about?
I don't know, because like the Katara one I think I'm most concerned about, even though I think it has the least amount like going for
The least amount of backing to it.
Yeah, but I think there's the least amount of comments about it.
Mm-hmm.
The most is the Aang stuff.
Okay.
They talked in detail about this. I'm just gonna read this entire one.
Okay.
So we decided to make Aang's narrative drive a little clearer.
Okay.
Automatic red flag. Like, very first sentence, like, that's not Aang's story. In the first season of the animated series, he's kind of going from place to place looking for adventures. Mm-hmm. He even says, first we've got to go and ride the elephant koi. It's a little looser as benefits a cartoon. Missing the thematic of why he goes on so many side missions in that first season. Also, Avatar is fucking Detour the show. Like yes, there's like the eclipse or whatever the hell it's called, the meteor.
The solar
like
eclipse.
Exactly.
The
Like, there's certain dates and like deadlines, but most of the episodes do not focus on like getting to that like moment. Like they're just kind of like getting around like the journey there and stuff.
I think one of my favorite moments from season 1 is when Zuko's like, we're tracking him. He must be an expert.
Yeah, and then he cuts it. Yeah,
and they're literally just flying around the world.
All right, so here we go. It's a little looser as benefits a cartoon. We needed to make sure that he had the drive from the start, which is like, okay. And so that's a change that we've made. We essentially give him this vision.
Oh boy.
Yeah, of what's going to happen, and he says, I have to get to the Northern Water Tribe to stop this from happening. Which is like, out of all the moments you could have had him had a vision of, like the eclipse, like the Day of Black Sun, why the Northern Water Tribe? What happens to the Northern Water Tribe happens because they go there, right? Like it's like
that's very fundamentally different from the show, because they go to the Northern Water Tribe because Katara wants to learn waterbending.
Yes.
So
Aang needs to learn waterbending too, because Aang's trying to learn all the four elements.
They don't head there immediately because of Aang. They head there because of Katara. Like, Aang is very secretive of who he is until they go to the Western Air Temple.
Yeah, he's
Or
like
the
it's
East-
not until he's like full. He gives them like the full kind of
Yeah.
like explanation by that point. So he's like, so yeah, I'll start back. I have to go to get to the Northern Water Tribe to stop this from happening. That gives him much more narrative compulsion going forward, as opposed to let's make a detour and go ride the elephant koi, that type of thing. That's something again. That's part of the process of getting from a Nickelodeon cartoon to a Netflix serialized drama.
So
Okay.
So
Like, you understand? You see what you understand, right?
So-
that if true means they changed Aang's full arc, and maybe even his personality.
So I could take this in a couple different ways.
I'm interested.
The
to hear
one-
this.
I want to see how you interpret this.
The one way that
see,
I hope the one way that I hope is that they just cut out like the side episodes and like it's more just like getting like
Well, there are less important episodes that you can, like the Fortune Teller,
Yeah.
and like the Divide. Like those episodes are episodes you don't
yeah.
need.
So like the first way that I take this is that you can
Oh, sorry.
the first way I could take this is that they just cut out all of, like the oh, why am I losing my train of thought? Cut out all the side episodes.
But
The
that's
ones-
like most of the show.
Yes. But it would also fit with condensing 20 episodes into 8 episodes.
Oh, I'm not I don't need every. Oh, okay. I don't need every story to be in the show.
The
Like,
second way I could take
Yeah.
this is that instead of like when they go to the forest and they meet the spirit of the forest and Aang goes into the spirit realm, instead of like Roku telling him, "Oh, you need to go to here," he instead just has a vision that they need to go to the Northern Water Tribe, which is like cheap, but I can also like, okay, maybe that's
Understandable,
That's
you know.
understandable.
My thing is, but weirdly enough, and this is entirely me taking out of it, but the idea of him having like a vision that early kind of makes me feel like they're going to skip that, like the spirit world thing.
No, the spirit world's there because you see this like the spirit of the forest in there.
Oh,
Like,
okay, that is true. Then are they gonna do the?
Maybe they'll
Are
skip.
they going to the fire temple?
Maybe that's what they'll skip.
Because that's one of the best episodes in the first
It is.
season. Like Roku showing up is the most badass. Is one of
It's
is,
so
is
cool.
one of those badass scenes. Like he literally destroys the island, and he does the first and only instance in the original cartoon of lava bending. Like
Yeah.
it's like, yeah. So,
that could be like that's what I think.
but to
they'd
me this,
skip.
and again I'm about to go like. I mean, what do you interpret this as? I guess before I get into like analysis mode.
I feel like they're, changing the character of Aang. Like they're. I don't want to say they're making him like, like you
I
gotta
mean, this is the
remember.
most flat out, like that he spells it out that this
Right.
is what we're doing. Like we
Right.
know this change has occurred.
Does it more like hurt your want for the show, or is it more just like I don't know how I feel now?
It kind of inconveniences it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I just like it's like I don't. It's very interesting that like why is every character like seemingly like been tweaked this way, and it's like and I can understand them being tweaked. I can understand like the humor being toned to a different way because the humor of a cartoon does not like work in the same way as like the humor of live action. Some of the banter stuff does. Like once Toph gets involved, the Toph jokes just work like for the entire show. Like that's going to be like the case. Like in the Sokka commentary is going to be funny like no matter what. But like certain other like cartoon type stuff you can't do. Like I understand that, but like they seemingly are like interpreting the wrong things like that like as the cartoon stuff like in or mixing like Aang is not like Aang's not even like oh my god like well, Aang is very much a classic like shonen like character like she's a shonen like he's like a Naruto
happy,
like which is a very classic archetype especially in like Japanese which Avatar is the closest thing that America has to like a American Western produced anime and that's a very common like character trait for these characters.
It's actually I could be wrong, but from what I know, it's actually the only animation that is recognized in Japan as an honorary anime.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not
Good for
surprised.
them.
But either way, like that's a common. So like Aang's, and even in like those shows, animes like shonens are like obviously very different than like a Western style stuff, but they deal with more adult like type issues and the character. And a lot of the time, like the character is deeply like complex, like a character like Naruto, like which is like his facade is very much a gumball, like what am I talking about? Like a goofy, like ridiculous, but like inside he has like a lot of like shit going on.
Yeah.
Like he's a powerful being. He has like the Jinchuriki inside him, like Goku, Tanjiro, like in with Demon Slayer.
A more
like a lot of stuff.
A more American animation happens with I love Ben
Tanjiro
10.
and
It
Aang
happens with Ben
actually
10 a lot.
Tanjiro and Aang are actually kind of similar. Weirdly enough. But like Aang specifically is he's the Avatar, but he's a child.
I was gonna say at the end of the day, he's
like
12 years old.
Like that's what the complexity and the intrigue of Aang is. He is the most powerful being on the planet, and he's 12, and he has like. He's not fully trained to be like the most powerful being yet, even though he has that capacity in him. But he's also like not mentally like that's why like there's so much of like in that immaturity. Like well, one, like he ran away from the entire story happens
because
Aang ran away. He ran away. He was scared and anxious about like all the responsibility that was being like thrust upon him
and being taken away from Gyatso.
And then even when he comes, when Gyatso and all that type of stuff, and then even when he comes back out, he kind of keeps that like avoidance for a while, which is it's very common like child behavior. Of like avoiding like responsibility, like you're especially if it's like your own, like that you have to step up to. It can be like intimidating. It could be like to have like everything like that thrust upon you. Like you're 12 years old and you get told like you have to save the world from the Fire Nation. It's like this army that's about to come crush you basically. And like so his koi fish is like he's a kid. He wants to like avoid like this and go play.
These are the
and
things that he used to do.
Yes, exactly. And then as he
learns,
learns, and they give when we finally get like you have to do it by the day of Black Sun because that'll be our chance, or before the meteor, I mean, like before they will take over the Sozin's comet, like they will do the same thing 100 years ago that they used to destroy the Airbenders, and like that gives him like the deadline. That kind of makes it so there's a little bit more purpose, and then he has to step up and make those steps to like become the Avatar. And then this continues even later on when he gets to like the love with Katara type stuff, and he realizes like, oh shit, like I'm not able to, like I have to let go of love to like activate the
seventh chakra.
I mean that's a whole history of like, but I love her, I can't do that type of stuff. And then so this is a very fundamental part of Aang's character of like. Not shrinking from the responsibility, but having to rise to the. And if he just has a vision and is like ready to go, like from the beginning, that's not Aang. Like Aang's story is he's not a competent.
He's conflicted.
He's not competent. Like he's 12. He's conflicted.
So I think that there's positives and negatives with any TV show that comes out. I know that Christian's very nervous about the show. I'm going to go into it with my optimism as always. That's just how I go into anything. Palmer, do you have any final things to say before we wrap up today?
Hoping for the best. Expecting.
Oh, they also said they tried to make it like Game of Thrones, which I don't know what the fuck that means. But I have no
idea. Aang's gonna kill people.
I don't know what that means. I'm like that's what do you mean you have to make it like Game of Thrones? Like all you have to do, all the material to make Avatar more adult is there. Like in the source material, you just have to like kind of like raise.
Cut him off. Cut him off.
You just gotta like. Speaking of like pulling, you know how you just pulled down my like sound bar? All they had to do was like just push up the narrative bar on a couple. They could go more deep into some of the negative things.
Before Christian blows up the podcast room, I think this is where we're gonna end it.
Thank you, Palmer, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining.
Anytime.
Have you back anytime you'd like.
Appreciate that.
Like we said, we have a ton of more stuff coming out. We're really hoping to get into more things and expand a little bit.
Yeah, more reactions, more analysis.
So if there's anything outside of Star Wars that you guys would like to see us either talk about or react to, let us know in the comments. We very much like to communicate with you guys. So I think that's all for now. So thank you everyone so much for watching. May the Force be with you and have a great day.